Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson team up again after their surprising 2017 hit with a new added dynamic of Salma Hayek. This is my review of The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Bodyguard Michael Bryce is forced into action by Darius Kincaid's volatile wife, the infamous international con artist Sonia Kincaid. The trio get in over their heads in a global plot and soon find themselves standing in between the destruction of Europe and a powerful and vengeful madman. I really enjoy the original. I think it's far from a perfect movie, but the comedy really works, the action really works, Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds, and even the little bit we got of Salma Hayek is all tremendously good in that first film. But before I dive into my thoughts on this sequel, I want to know what you think. What do you think about the first film? Are you excited for this one? Let me know all of that in the comments below. And while you're down there, if you're new to the channel, why don't you consider clicking the subscribe button? It does wonders to get my content out there, and you'll always be aware of whenever I upload more great content. Despite really enjoying the first film, I really wasn't looking forward to a sequel. The very idea of a sequel just didn't sit right with me. The film didn't need one. But when that first trailer came out, I was really surprised. It not only looked great, it looked like it was even going to surpass the first film. And when it comes to Samuel L. Jackson, Ryan Reynolds, Salma Hayek, they have incredible chemistry on screen, and they're all giving everything they got to this film. The extended cast with Antonio Banderas, Morgan Freeman, Tom Hopper, there are some big names on this film, and again, everyone is giving it their all. Nobody's sleepwalking on this film, and every now and then there are some real gems. Whenever the film focuses on the three of them is when we get flashes of really great comedy, some really great character interactions, and we get those real funny moments that bring us back to that original film, because these three stars are incredible together. However, they cannot save the material they were given. Unfortunately, that is it for positives. I was dreading every single second of this film on screen. Let's start with a simple thing, that Ryan Reynolds is the Hitman's wife's bodyguard in one scene during this film. The attempts at comedy are lame, they are lazy, and sometimes cringe-worthy. As I said briefly, there are moments that work. These actors have incredible chemistry together, and they can make almost anything funny, but the way this script it is written, the attempts at jokes, sometimes it tries to do the exact same thing they did in the previous movie, and when it tries something different, it doesn't really feel like they're trying at all when it comes to the writing of this film. I was annoyed the entire film because Michael Bryce in this film is made to look like an incompetent fool. The film starts off at a fine enough place, where Michael Bryce has lost his bodyguarding license because he failed at protecting a very important client from Darius Kincaid, which brings them together and explains how he is haunted by Darius Kincaid. The beginning of this film, as he's going to therapy and needs some time off work to not think about bodyguarding, that is all really fun. It's a really great premise, and again, it's an organic way to bring these characters back together. From then on, the film just falls and crumbles to the ground. Michael Bryce in this film is a complete incompetent that you do not understand how he even got a license in the first place. In the first film, their chemistry was great because Samuel L. Jackson as the hitman made things complicated for Michael Bryce, and no matter how good he was, and he was a great bodyguard, Samuel L. Jackson just made his life very difficult. In this film, he's a complete nuisance. He's a dunce. Until, of course, the moments where the script calls for him being actually good at his job, and then the comedy falls flat because it makes no sense in the context of this film. Also, I am getting real tired of every single movie that Salma Hayek is in having an array of jokes about her breasts. We get it. There are ideas in this film that feel like the screenwriters 3 of them in this movie, placed them in the script, and then did not give them a second thought. They didn't develop them, they didn't think what it could add to the story, because most of them add nothing to the story. And in many ways, again, it just feels like we're doing a variation of the same movie. In that film, I love what our lead characters were doing, but the villain plotline with Gary Oldman just felt very serious and tonally off from the rest of the film. Even Gary Oldman himself was playing an Oscar baity role. Don't get me wrong, he was given an incredible performance, but it didn't fit the movie he was in. The same thing happens here with Antonio Banderas. He's not as good as Gary Oldman, but the story involving this villain is so dreadfully serious. It doesn't fit the film whatsoever, and what we lose here is that great character interaction that we were having with our heroes in the first film. It's not here either. A moment that works a lot, and I'm not going to spoil anything, is when Morgan Freeman comes into the film. That's a great moment, but then the film wastes it in this very cynical and mean-spirited way to use him in the film that I did not care for whatsoever. Another idea in this film that was so good as a concept and could have worked so well as the main story was that at one point Michael Bryce and Kincaid find themselves standing off against another bodyguard and another hitman, and both Bryce and Kincaid know who these two dudes are. There could have been a rivalry there, that could have been a competition for the best hitman's bodyguard. Again, ideas that could have been something good, but they're nothing more than just ideas. They don't have any execution to them whatsoever. The film, for the most part, is not funny. 85% of the jokes do not hit, and when you have a comedy, that's real bad. When you have an action comedy, can we at least count on the action? No, unfortunately not. The editing is atrocious in here. An immense amount of cuts in every action scene. Sometimes you can barely see someone getting shot in the head. This is a fucking rated R movie where people swear a lot, we have lots of blood, but sometimes because of the editing, you can't even see someone getting shot in the head or the chest or whatever. The hand-to-hand combat is absolutely horrid. I really did not like this film. I barely laughed, I barely could see any of the action. It is not an Adam Sandler level of everything wrong with comedy movie, but it is everything wrong with a comedy sequel movie. The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard is a barren attempt to continuing their surprise hit from a few years ago without carrying any of the positives from the first movie. This film has everything at its disposal to work, and unfortunately it really doesn't. It's a dud that ends with one of the worst attempts at a joke I have ever seen. It's not funny, it doesn't make any sense, and right there, it sums up this entire film. I'm giving The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard a D. So those are my thoughts on The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, but I have a lot of friends that have seen this film as well, and they've enjoyed it, so I hope you do too. Thank you so much for watching. You are the best. Stay tuned for many more videos to come very soon. I have my review of In the Heights up. I have my review of the first 2 episodes of Loki spoiler free also on the channel, as well as my review of the first episode filled with spoilers. And there's a poll right now on my Twitter and my community tab for you guys to decide my next fan casting video coming this week. So I hope to see you in those. And so until then, love each other and love the movies.